A Piglet Named Mercy. Written by Kate DiCamillo. Illustrated by Chris Van Dusen. Copyright 2019. Published by Candlewick Press. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson lived in a house on Deckawoo Drive. Deckawoo Drive was an ordinary street in an ordinary town. And Mr. and Mrs. Watson were ordinary people who did ordinary things in ordinary ways. One day, Mrs. Watson said to Mr. Watson, "I wonder if we aren't just the tiniest bit too predictable."
"Predictable? Us?" said Mr. Watson. "Surely not."
"It's just that sometimes I wish something different would happen," said Mrs. Watson.
"Things are just fine as they are,"
said Mr. Watson. But then something different did happen. Someone very small and not at all ordinary found her way to the Watsons' house on Deckawoo Drive. Mr. Watson made the discovery when he opened the door for the morning paper.
"Mrs. Watson," he called, "come see."
"Oh, the little dear," said Mrs. Watson. "Oink," said the piglet.
"I think she's hungry,"
said Mr. Watson.
"Is that a pig?"
said Eugenia Lincoln. Eugenia Lincoln lived next door, and she did not approve of surprises or pigs. "It is," said Mrs. Watson. "Can you believe our luck?"
"Don't be ridiculous,"
said Eugenia Lincoln.
"A pig is not lucky at all."
"Do you think perhaps the piglet would like a bottle of warm milk?" said Baby Lincoln. Baby was Eugenia's younger sister, and she was fond of surprises and piglets. Mr. Watson scratched his head.
"A bottle of milk? I don't know. This is all so unpredictable."
"Leave it to me," said Baby Lincoln. "Oink," said the piglet again. Mrs. Watson picked up the piglet and took her inside. She wrapped her in a blanket. "Have you ever seen anyone so darling?" she said.
"Never,"
said Mr. Watson. "Here is the warm milk," said Baby Lincoln. "I have it right here." Eugenia said,
"This is absurd."
The piglet did not think it was absurd at all. She drank the entire bottle. And then she burped and oinked and went looking for more.
"Oh, my goodness,"
said Mr. Watson.
"Watch out,"
said Eugenia. "She seems to like toast very much," said Baby. "Oh, the darling, darling thing," said Mrs. Watson. "Mr. Watson," said Mrs. Watson, "perhaps you would like to hold her for a bit?"
"Certainly,"
said Mr. Watson. He took the piglet in his arms. He rocked her. He hummed.
"How extraordinary,"
said Mr. Watson.
"She is a porcine wonder."
"This piglet is a wish come true," said Mrs. Watson. "What a mercy she is," said Baby.
"There you go,"
said Mr. Watson.
"We will call her Mercy." "She is not a mercy,"
said Eugenia.
"She is a pig."
"Oink, oink," said the piglet.
"You cannot name a pig Mercy,"
shouted Eugenia. But they did name her Mercy. She was entirely unpredictable. She was not at all ordinary, and she was very, very loved.